Hi, I'm Paris, and I noticed on this channel that my most viewed video the past month is one that tries to solve the age-old problem of getting better Wi-Fi in your house. Now, that video is years old, and the old way of doing it, once you had set up your router in your house, is you would go out and buy a little box, an extender or repeater that you would place some distance from your router, and it would boost the signal, so hopefully you could get Wi-Fi throughout your house. I set up a number of them during my years running my own computer service and repair business. They were a chore to set up. Every time the power would go out, they would disconnect and then not reconnect, and I'd get a call and have to go out and fix that. And you would often end up with two Wi-Fi network names. So depending on which part of the house you were working in, you'd have to hope that your laptop or phone would jump onto the closer network that actually had the signal. Well, fortunately, those days are long gone, because now, instead of just buying a router and then later having to piecemeal put parts together to get a whole house coverage of Wi-Fi, you can buy a Wi-Fi mesh network kit. A company called Ubiquiti that makes large-scale business and school mesh networks has a consumer product which they sent out to me to try out. This is the AmpliFi HD Mesh Network Kit. Supposed to be able to set it up in less than 10 minutes using just a phone. Let's put that to the test and see how well it works.
EpicReviewGuys.
If at first glance you wouldn't guess this is a Wi-Fi router network kit, I think that's what they had in mind. It's supposed to look very modern, so you can proudly display it, and the pieces are small enough that you can tuck them away if you don't want to have them visible. We always have problems because the modem is in one far corner and the kids' rooms in the opposite far corner don't get Wi-Fi without some special effort. Other than the app to put on your phone, everything you need is in the box to set up Wi-Fi coverage over 20,000 square feet. Goes for just over $300. You can find out more about it at the link down below this video. I like the suitcasiness of the box. Let's take a look at the components inside. Very nice presentation. Here are the components. The heart of the system is the router. Looks like a radio alarm clock to me, with Ethernet ports in the back. The mesh points that you place in different parts of the house to extend the signal, they're pretty much intended to be plugged right in to the power outlets on the wall. And if somebody walks by and knocks off the top part, well, that's okay, because they're attached by magnet. This kit provides you 2 mesh points in addition to the router. You can buy additional mesh points if you have a really big place. The nice thing about this is these are pre-configured to connect to the router. That's why it's so quick and easy. Once you've set up the router with a network name and password, all you have to do is plug these in. Power adapter for the router, Ethernet cable, and quick start instructions. I've downloaded the app. Time to start plugging things in and see if this can really be set up in just 10 minutes. Back in the corner bedroom where the cable modem is located, I'm going to power that off and then swap out this Deco M5 mesh network router for the new AmpliFi. On the back of the AmpliFi router, I've plugged in the power here with the white cable. It's a USB Type-C connector, and plugged the Ethernet cable that goes to the cable modem in. You can see lights came on, and on the display on the front of the router, they're advising me to get the app and set it up that way, but I can tap the screen, get the SSID and the password, and log into it from a computer and do the setup that way as well. Time to start the app up. They do sell just the router if you don't have such a large home and don't need a whole mesh network set up. Okay, done that. Did that. Did that. Oh, I heard a chime over there. This is pretty easy. I've chosen a Wi-Fi name and a password. More chiming. Oh, and music. Then I'll set up the mesh points, which should be as simple as just plugging them in. Let's see what else we got here. Ah, this one I've been interested in trying out. Here's what the router screen displays by default. It's the time and day, and there's this light on the bottom. Should be as easy as plugging it in and then just giving it a minute. Now the antenna portion is what's removable. You can also turn it angle it, tip it to get a better signal. And it should automatically search out and find the router and connect to it. I think it's looking. Took about a minute. The lights stopped flashing. I think the 5 lights means it's got full signal strength here on the other side of the wall from the router and about 20 feet away. And the last mesh point of the old system here next to my Amazon Echo is on my desk, 2 walls and another 20 feet away from that mesh point that I just installed. Since I don't need to interact with it, that I'll just plug it in over here behind some bins. One thing I can tell you right now that I'm going to miss is the old system had Ethernet ports on the satellite units across the house, whereas the AmpliFi does not provide any Ethernet port on these mesh points, only on the router. So it's nice that it fits in out of the way. You don't have to take up shelf or counter space with this mesh point. If it's showing full signal strength, I will double check this on the app and then get some devices on this Wi-Fi network and see how it's doing. Well, to my surprise, the app seems to be telling me that both the mesh points are talking directly to the router, so it's got pretty good strength to be able to talk to that one that's at the far corner of the house. Let's test internet speed. So 106 download, 11.8 upload, pretty good because we're paying for 110. Makes it real easy on the app to set up a guest network. If you have people over and they want to get on the Wi-Fi, you can start it. You can set how long it's on for, and there's no password. So they can just connect to it, and then when the timer is up, it turns off and they're not on your network anymore. This is the one I'll be curious to try out at dinner time. I just heard it chime. Internet is off. Under the configure router options, you can turn the screen on the router on or off, and that bottom part that lights up. You can also set night mode so that the screen goes off during certain hours, which are listed here. And there are a few more advanced settings. Here are some of the wireless network settings, the guest Wi-Fi settings. And for the router display, I guess you just tap the screen to go through the options. How much data has been used? Interesting. And maybe speed on the network. I don't think, other than my phone, any devices are attached right now. I think they missed an opportunity with this since it is touch capacitive. It would have been cool if they had made it so you could have done the setup right on the screen. You could have tapped on it, typed in the network name you wanted and the password, and not had to connect it to it via a phone and an app or a computer. Everything completely self-contained would have been really cool. Here's how the network shows up on my laptop. Let's connect. I'm in the far corner of the house here. No problem connecting, and I should be able to get my full internet connection speed here across the network. Let's see. Here we go. So that's great. I'm getting the same speed sitting here on the far side of the house from the router as I was sitting right next to the router. Across the street and partway down the block, still getting a signal. Let's see how backward compatible the AmpliFi mesh network is. This is an old generation Kindle, one that had the physical keyboard at the bottom. I'm going to see if I can get this on the new Wi-Fi network. And it connected with no problem. And it works just fine. Well, that pretty much answered the last of my concerns. If something this old can get on the network, pretty much everything in the house we have should be able to join. And we have upwards of 20 devices, I think, on our home network here. That's why the AmpliFi HD is a good system for us. That's high density. If you have a lot of devices in a concentrated area, they also have a long range version of this that'll give you more extension if you have a shed, I guess, way out in the back of your half-acre or acre lot to get the Wi-Fi back there. And they sell it with just the router if you're in an apartment or you don't have such a large space you need to have Wi-Fi accessible in. Thanks again to Ubiquiti for sending me the AmpliFi network mesh system to try out. I'm sure the kids are going to appreciate having the strong Wi-Fi all the way to this corner of the house, though they might not like it so much when I try out that dinner time internet pause button. Find out more about this solution to your Wi-Fi connection problems at the link down below this video, and I'll see you on the next review.
Shopping is easy when you know what to buy. At EpicReviewGuys, we give it a try. What does the fox buy? Nobody knows, but before he goes shopping, he watches our